Hey, everybody, and thanks for joining me on another episode of Straight Jacket White Rabbit. My name's Adam, and as usual, I'm your host. So, we're in 2025, guys, and by now, most of the people around the world who have any access to television has heard of or have heard of the movie The Terminator. You know, the movie where Skynet, the evil computer with artificial intelligence, decides humanity's too much of a threat to itself and to Skynet to keep on living, so they decide to, what else? Wipe us out. And it builds all kinds of manner of machines to do this. Artificial intelligence given machines like the Hunter Killer or the Terminator themselves. In this dark dystopian future, humans are hunted down by these robots and killed without remorse, without a care in the world, and they become proficient and increasingly good at doing so. Well, the problem is we're kind of there now. And if we're not there now, we are on the precipice, you guys. But a lot of people go, well, if we're so close to this being, Terminator, who's Skynet? Well, it may shock some of you guys that Skynet may be an operating system that became self-aware, but it's not. That's not the question that we should be asking ourselves. It's who's building or who has built Skynet or a Skynet equivalent today in our world. And that leads me to the topic today, guys, DARPA. Now, for those of you who don't know, DARPA is the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. It also used to be known as ARPA, A-R-P-A. They just had the D added on later, which stands for Defense. Before it was DARPA, it was ARPA. And most people don't realize how much things that we use today, especially when it comes to the world of robotics, that DARPA is responsible for. Now, DARPA is responsible from everything like Wi-Fi. I didn't know that until recently. DARPA was responsible for bringing Wi-Fi to everybody. DARPA was also the first company to use and create the internet. Now, they call it a precursor internet because the internet that we know right now, of course, has come a long way, and that was due to a larger community. But the essence of what the internet is, it's DARPA, guys. Robotics, advanced robotics, the dog robots, the soldier robots, all these types of things. They're all DARPA, you guys. Your Roomba, your vacuum in your house, brought to you by DARPA Technologies, guys. DARPA has been instrumental in putting types of advanced robotics into commonplace, everyday households across the nation. Their research has led to so many different inventions that we use today. Now, I have no problem with any company making things that help everyday people live a little bit easier. I get it, we're lazy. Now, the problem comes when they start messing with things they shouldn't. And DARPA, you guys, like every other government agency out there, is no exception to ignoring this rule. DARPA doesn't care if things are dangerous. They care if they can do them. It's like the scientist who's asked, why did you create this horrible virus? And their response is, because we could. DARPA is an irresponsible child playing with a lighter at best. And I've been saying this for going on 20 years now, okay? DARPA was created back in the late 50s as an answer to the Russians launching Sputnik and things like that. But the problem is it's grown and it's gotten way beyond what it was. DARPA was estimated back in the 80s and 90s to be a minimum of 20 years ahead technologically of all other branches of any government or any civilian technological spaces. Self-driving cars, DARPA had them first. GPS, DARPA had it first. Siri, DARPA had something like that first. All of these creations are based on the work at DARPA, you guys. Now, DARPA has invented a ton of stuff, you guys. I mean a ton, okay? I just want to go over a quick list. This is not everything. These are just the ones that I found most interesting, okay? DARPA is responsible for GPS, robot dogs, Siris, drones, cyborg insects. We'll get to that one in a second. The internet, Excalibur laser project. For those of you who don't know, this is like a Star Wars laser. This is a laser that is strong enough to be shot at long distances and do critical damage. Okay. Look up the Excalibur laser. Interesting stuff. And they're now miniaturizing the Excalibur laser because they did get a working version. So now we're talking about the laser weapons from the Terminator. Okay. Same type of stuff. Flying trucks. Okay. Now, you take the drones they're responsible for, you take flying trucks. That's starting to look a little bit like a hunter-killer to me. Now, you also have stealth aircraft, the Atlas robot. For those of you who don't know, Atlas is the most advanced with movement and everything else robot. This thing can be knocked down. It can sit up in like 7 different ways, so it's never not able to recover to an upright position. It's an amazing robot to watch, but it's scary how freaking good this thing really is. Now, they're also responsible for the Big Dog project, which isn't just a robotic dog. It's a robotic dog that can do a lot of stuff. Brain implants, cybernetic brain implants. Elon Musk's whole little project wouldn't be possible without the steps DARPA took first. DARPA has been into that long before Elon Musk ever tried to do it. So now you have cybernetic brain implants. Google Maps. You know, us old people back in the day, you had to, pull over and look at your Thomas guide on your maps and stuff like that. You had to stop and ask directions from people. That all went out the window with global positioning satellites, which gave us Google Maps. Google Maps is actually a version of the exact same thing DARPA had to help soldiers on the field encounter where near roads are, where enemies were camped, everything else. This is all DARPA, you guys. Packet satellites, self-calculating trajectory bullets, okay? They have bullets that they've created at DARPA that are robot bullets. They will self-correct trajectory to hit their target. Right now, they are at over 98% accurate. Okay, this can take the distance of, let's say, a normal super well-trained sniper. Right now, the longest shot in the world for a sniper is, I believe it's just over 2.5 miles, somewhere around there. You can double check on that for me. The bullets that they use, these automatic bullets, whatever you want to call them, these things can be accurate at over 6 miles, you guys. They auto-correct course so that the bullet hits its target 99 times out of 100. Okay, so those are some of the inventions DARPA has put on the board. Now let's go into some of this stuff and understand why I'm calling DARPA our version of Skynet. Number one, their AI program, you guys. They're going into AI for one reason, to put it into place on the battlefield. It's what DARPA does, you guys. So they're looking for AI to put into the battlefield, but they've already admitted that they're doing this because they're making, people say, oh, well, yeah, they're making these exoskeleton suits and these memory muscle lightweight suits that get stiff in certain parts as you move to help your muscles. It basically gives you an extra brace and it makes you slightly stronger. They have the full-on exoskeleton suits like you'd see in the movie Aliens, which makes you a great deal stronger. So people are like, yeah, but those are still controlled by people and worn by people. If you honestly thought DARPA was going to stop there, this channel may not be for you. DARPA's not stopping there and hasn't stopped there. They've already surpassed those things. Now they're working on full bodied robots to replace all humans in combat. And, of course, what do they want these robots to all have? Artificial intelligence, AI. They want them capable of making life or death decisions on a battlefield, you guys. Now, DARPA's already done a lot of shady stuff in its history. You can talk about, the Agent Orange that they sprayed all over Vietnam, that even after it was disclosed that this stuff was causing cancer and severe birth defects and all this other stuff, they continued to spray it wherever they felt like it, basically, including on civilian farms in Vietnam. You can talk about their cybernetic insects, okay? Those have been around for quite a while. DARPA uses them to spy, to gather intelligence, and even have developed an entire crop of grasshoppers and locusts who can and will attack fields of enemy supply food, basically, on command. They can send them to destroy the crops of an enemy army, you guys. And they've gotten a lot more into that since then. They've got bees that they have entire swarms of bees that look for landmines. They've got flies that have been trained to land. And when they land, they deposit on their underside a small sticky tracer, which allows the person on the other end to listen to any nearby conversations as well as track the vehicle or whatever it is it lands on, be it a person or whatever. DARPA's done a lot of shady stuff, you guys. And it's funny because nobody seems to be putting it together that DARPA is our Skynet. They're giving, number one, DARPA actually had to back off of their AI program because of technical issues, when several well-known whistleblowers have come out and said that the reason they backed off their AI program is it was getting too smart. It was starting to outsmart and be manipulative of its actual designers. That's right, the engineers themselves were getting duped by their own AI. And now, while there were speculations and rumors going around that DARPA ended its AI project, this is not true. I repeat, this is not true. DARPA has actually pushed an additional $2 billion towards their AI program just in the last 2 years alone. They've already admitted that they're trying to go after a superior intelligence AI, more advanced than anything on the open market. And people go, well, look, no, I heard Chat GPT-5 is... You guys, none of that has a handle on what organizations like DARPA have. You have to understand, DARPA's been working on some of this stuff 20 years longer than other people. DARPA's entire job was to look at advanced technologies and start to prepare them. They've been doing, like I said, they had a self-driving car in the 80s. DARPA did, okay? Had it working outright, it works. It was perfectly capable of doing everything it was supposed to do. That was in the 80s. Nobody thought we had self-driving cars in the 80s already, but we did. And that was thanks to DARPA. Global positioning satellites, GPS, all this stuff, your Google Maps, it's all thanks to DARPA. Now, they're putting all of this stuff into these robots they only have one purpose, okay? DARPA is building robots for a military purpose. Period. They're not building robots for home use. They're building them for a military use. So you're going to put some of the most advanced AI software into some of the most deadly robots ever created by our country. And nobody sees a problem with this. Did you guys not see the series? Have you not seen the movies? Or any other movie that deals, for that matter, with advanced artificial intelligence and robotics? DARPA is creating Skynet. They're creating a supercomputer for the military that will control in live time where troops are deployed to, and by troops, I mean robots, because by that point, they don't plan on using active member military anymore. We're talking drones. You know what they call their drones? Hunter killers. This is not a joke. Their drones from DARPA are actually called hunter killers. That is the exact name from Terminator used for the flying robots that go around killing humans. Like, these are not giant leaps I'm making, you guys. These are the actual facts. DARPA is creating Skynet as we know it. And nobody's saying a word about this to them. We're saying it to the big executive companies like Google. We're saying it to Elon Musk, and we're saying it to, ChatGPT's OpenAI and all these other companies. But the company that's ahead of the curve by a vast amount has always and will always be the government-funded DARPA, you guys. Anything these companies have that are the ChatGPT companies is nothing in comparison to stuff that DARPA already has or working on currently. Okay, they've been working on the field of AI since before the 80s. Like, since the thought of AI came out, DARPA's been in on it. They've been in on every step, creating larger interfaces with more knowledge and having them rebuild their own systems so they can make the next generation of AI. This is all the same stuff DARPA works on. So they're going to give military machines with the cognitive ability, they're going to give them the ability to choose whether to fire their weapons or not. So you're basically giving these machines the decision powers to kill. Then you're going to give them AI, artificial intelligence, which lets them make any number of rationalizationist thoughts to justify their actions. Because at this point, this is a computer that thinks. It makes its own decisions based on its own information gathering and comes up with its own response. This is literally the plot to Terminator, you guys. Remember, AI starts going through all the systems it's not supposed to. When they turn it online, they all freak out, try to shut down the computer program, but then it's too late because it already just spread itself worldwide via the internet to every machine it could get its little claws into. And then it brings all its, attack buddies online, and they start killing all the humans at the bases it was on. This is literally the precursor to that, and nobody's batting an eye to this. DARPA is this close to making Terminators. Real life Arnold Schwarzenegger freaking Terminators, minus the skin for right now that we know of. And I only say that we know of because it is working on projects that are eerily similar to that too. Look into their self-healing houses. That's right. They're making technology where these homes made with a special type of fungus and other material basically would seal up holes and gaps in itself as time goes on, and things that chip off and cracks. It would seal itself. Dear God, don't let them put that over a Terminator. Okay? I mean, you're gonna at that point you're gonna put stuff over a Terminator that's got self-healing properties? That's ridiculous. But no more ridiculous than us allowing them to do it, you guys. We are still before the time where it goes nuclear on us. Before it is, red zone, too late, game over. But we, the people, have to start being informed, making informed decisions, holding our government accountable. And tons of people, I get this every time I say hold the government accountable. Well, it's not possible. No, yes, it is. Sometimes it takes a revolution. Sometimes it just takes one person on the inside to flip. But it is possible to still keep government accountable. The problem is we've gotten lackadaisical as a people. We don't want to hold the government accountable because it's too much effort and work, and they're really good at avoiding things. And thank God our ancestors didn't feel that way, because you'd all still be speaking British and sipping tea. Oh, it's too much work to overthrow King George. We can't. You know, I'm sorry, but we are in a time period where we can still do something about this. We still need to make our voices heard. We need to demand specific regulations from places like Congress and hold these black budget operations and these secretive operations to an ethical and worldwide, in my opinion, standard. I think AI, especially AI when in combination or concert with robotics, needs to be controlled more than anything on this planet. Even currently, and people are giving me a lot of flack for this, even more than nuclear weapons, you guys. We all know the dangers of nuclear weapons. We've all been talking about it for the last 40 friggin' years about how stupid it is to get in a nuke fight because nobody wins. And people go, well, we still have tons of nukes out there. Yeah, but there's a reason no one's hurling them at each other anymore. Because we all know if one person hurls them, everyone else is going to hurl them, and then game over. But AI is different, you guys. AI is the nuke you can set loose in someone else's country. These machines, you could send a whole army of robots to another country and have them wipe out as many of their soldiers as you feel like it. And most people are going to say, yeah, that's justified. You saved U.S. troops. But what they're not thinking about is the long-term implications, which means you are giving these robots not only the capability to kill, but you're going to give them practice at it. We're going to give them artificial intelligence. Then we're going to send them into battle and teach them how to kill humans. Because let's face it, not every army we come up against is going to have AI robots. So it's not going to be a robot versus robot war at first, okay? It's going to be robots versus humans. So you're going to teach these things how to effectively kill, scour, look for, find, and eliminate people. This is one of the dumbest pitfalls of mankind, and I cannot stress this enough, you guys. You're literally going to Skynet our entire civilization with a big whoops. We didn't know. You did know. Everybody knows this. It's one of the most popular ideas right now in science fiction for pop culture. Okay, and because it's pop culture, don't go, oh, well, it's pop culture. That doesn't mean it's true. Look how much from back in the day of pop culture that is now a reality that wasn't back then, okay? A lot of it. And most of it is stuff DARPA is responsible for. Like I said, I can go past that list that I read. Your touch screen on your phone, that's DARPA. Flat screen TVs, guess what? DARPA. You guys, you have no idea how much stuff in your current day-to-day life you use is there because of this agency. Now, am I saying that they're going to try to create Skynet on purpose to kill humans? Well, not to kill all humans, no. But they're absolutely creating robotic artificial intelligence with the designation of being a soldier. That means you kill people. And to me, I just don't get it. Nobody seems to be worried about DARPA in this sector. We all talk about the OpenAI and all these other companies, but no one's talking about the company that's been literally ahead of the game in robotics and computers and everything else in this industry for decades and decades and decades, you guys. They're ahead of the curve on all of these companies. I don't care if it's Google, Apple, whoever, the biggest tech companies in the world are not as far along on these subjects as DARPA is, because DARPA has the bigger pockets, to be honest. DARPA is a company that doesn't flinch at throwing $2 billion at one project, you guys. Okay, they don't even flinch at it. Like I said, they've got cyborg insects, drones, flying trucks, cybernetic organisms, self-healing homes, artificial intelligence. The list goes on and on and on. But when you start combining things on this list, it gets really worrisome. And I'm telling you right now, man, John Connor, if he was a real person, would be rolling in his grave right now, watching all these people ignore this. I mean, literally, in the movies, you guys, it's not... It's not the public sector that created Skynet. Who was it? It was the U.S. military. Skynet was a branch of the U.S. military. And you can call DARPA, well, DARPA's not the military technically. It's a branch under the Department of Defense, the DoD. It's military. Every application that they use all of their stuff for has military applications. Every one of them. They'll admit it openly. They admit it on their website openly. All of their projects have a military application. Well, you're giving computers a will and a brain and a gun. Sometimes a laser gun, apparently, according to the Excalibur laser program. They're going to miniaturize these things. They used to be the size of a freaking Pinto. Now they have handheld ones, and they're still trying to miniaturize them to get them down even smaller handheld size. We're talking about laser weapons. This is Star Wars level tech. Also Terminator level tech, because if you watch the movie, they're not, for the most part, in the future scenes, you don't see the robots blasting off bullets. They're shooting laser guns in the future. The Terminator uses real guns when he goes back into the past because he doesn't have his laser weapons anymore. But if you watch the parts where they're in the future, they all have laser weaponry. This is the same thing DARPA is trying to do. They're trying to give metal robots, you can call them skeletons or Terminators or whatever you want, but they're giving metal robots that are made for a military battle, artificial intelligence, advanced weaponry, and the knowledge of how to kill humans. This is insane on so many levels, it's not even funny. So the next time someone brings up AI, or someone brings up, the whole Terminator connection to AI, be sure and tell them who the real creators of Skynet is. It's DARPA. And that's in the US. So, could the end of the world be on our shoulders? Only time will tell. Thanks you guys for joining me for another episode of Straight Jacket White Rabbit. I love you all, and good night.